Hello everyone, I am DNF. I am currently working on Defusal, and I decided to create this tool for the community to use and us so that we can get out modules a little easier. So everyone is welcome to use this tool to create their own modules, and I will like to show you guys how to use it. So how it works is it's just basically a stripped down unit test of the module you're going to be making. So in this case I'll be working on tiles for the game for a rewrite because there's going to be a couple differences with the actual programming of rewrite and the normal game that requires us to remake every single module. So I am here to show you guys how to do that. So I'd like to point out there's a couple things you might want to know before you start making your own models. A good thing to have is not even like a good level of knowledge, but somewhat of an elementary level knowledge of Lua and the Luau Roblox adaptation and API. I will link the documentation to that in the description. You don't need to know programming as a whole, as I personally think Roblox's AI assistant and code autofill is good enough to get you by, especially for what Defusal is, and at its core is just basically a bunch of if statements. So yeah, I'm here to show you guys how to use this tool that I've created for the community to use. So yeah, so let's get started. So first we got the sample module. That's kind of like your base of building your own module. So you got the status light, you got the part, or the base, which is going to be the primary part of the module. If you don't know what primary part is, you don't need to worry about it. But simply put it, it's basically just what controls that part of the module. So that's all you really need to know. The status light folder is important. It's required in every single module that you will have. You don't have to have any children in that folder, but you do need the folder to exist. That is a requirement. And essentially what that folder is any of the lights that you want changed. So let's just go ahead and look on, yeah, I'll pull it out actually. And the lights we want to exist. So like for example, this is the status light that will indicate whether or not the module is not completed, has gotten a strike, or has been completed. That's what will be changed in the colors. There's a script here called color handler that will handle that. So you don't need to worry about any of the predefined kind of like methods we have created for this. You really, all you really need to know is what like half of them do, and if you really need to know what they do, they are all documented for you. So let's get started. So I'm gonna make this module right here. This is tiles from the original game. So let's go ahead and do that. So first we're going to go ahead and open up a script. So in our actually, no, let's go ahead and work on the actual tiles module right now, because it's not ready for the current framework. So let's go ahead and make this folder for the status light. So let's just create a folder. You can do that by pressing this plus icon and then renaming it to status light. Let's go ahead and put this current light in here from the original game. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm just going to rename it to light so it looks a little cleaner. I'm also going to rename these to objects. Now, if you have any questions, feel free to ask the Discord. We will, or at least I should be able to help anyone. But anyone who ends up doing this in the future may be able to help you. So let's go ahead and, now that we got it set up, let's go ahead and make the code into our modules. So I've granted documentation. Granted, it's just a copy of the sample module, but let's go ahead and copy that. No, you can only have one object, or you technically have multiple, but you can only test one object at a time in here. So this is where you'll be testing your final module, and it will just reference whatever module name this is. So the names have to be the same as what you're going to be here, but you can have multiple modules in here. So right here, let's go ahead and name this tiles. I apologize for that. I was eating, so let's go ahead and get back. Alright, so the first thing we need to learn about is the initialize module method. This is getting called every time the module spawns into the bomb. So in this situation, we mainly want to get the answer. So basically, we need to generate enough data so that we can create an answer for it, and then we need to display that onto the module. So in this case, we want to go ahead and let's just start writing, I guess. So actually, first I do want to rename this to tiles so that we don't. It's a little easier for us to rename it. So I can just do that by pressing Control F and then pressing Tab when I do a search. Then I can do a find and replace, and then that replaces all of them. And for those who don't necessarily know that much about Lua, you can go ahead and actually do code autocomplete by pressing left alt backslash. So you can see it actually gives me a code autocomplete, but obviously this is a comment. I really don't care about that, so I'm going to go ahead and start writing now. First I want to do is I want to actually make a some data for the thing. So I'm actually going to go ahead and open up the world, or the old world, into another screen here and grab the colors that we are using for tiles. Alright, so we have tiles.white is equal to brick color dot industrial, or brick color. It would appear that that's not right, so let's go ahead and see if we can do let's go ahead and look back at this code here. Brickcolor.new, that's what it is. Industrial white. Oh, institutional white, yep. And then, let me just close up this. Tiles dot pink is equal to brickcolor.new pink. And I'm just gonna keep doing this until what color is new yellow? Let's go ahead and look. I don't remember what color new yellow is. I think it's yellow. It would make sense anyway. Let's just go to like press this. Yeah, that's yellow. Okay. To new yellow. And I can explain why I'm kind of doing it like this instead of a normal dictionary. I will have a dictionary, or but like I'm not gonna have something crazy. But I'm mainly just doing this so that I can do a reference. I could just basically grab a random index from a dictionary, and then I can use that dictionary for the value of the tiles, and I can use it to actually grab the color of the tiles. So that's kind of what my thought process is here right now. So let's keep going. Tiles dot blue, or do we have blue or do we have cyan? I know that the color is cyan. Let's go ahead and take a look at the yeah, let's go ahead and take a look. Let's go ahead and go back, and let's go ahead and keep going then. Tiles.green. Let's go to brickcolor.new, and then we have forest green as the green set in here. And then last we got red, and then Actually, that's perfect. That's exactly what we use. And then we can go ahead and do tiles dot colors is equal to whites. Actually, yeah, we're going to make a dictionary, so we're going to have to close the index in brackets, and then we do white is equal to, let's see how we have it in the code here. So whites is, okay, we don't actually have it in the code normally, so let's go ahead and go back to our thing here, and white is set as 5 in here, so let's go ahead and write 5. Let's go ahead and go to pink, which is actually 6. Yellow is 2. Blue is 7. Green is 9. And then red is 1. So now we have a numerical value attached to all of these colors, and then we also have the index, so that we can essentially just grab a random one, and then we can also get the index from the one we got, and then we can use the value if we want the actual numerical value, or if we want the colors, we can actually grab the index and then reference that with these. So that's what we're going to do now. So let's go ahead and let's just go ahead and make a local function here. This is just so that I can separate things from a lot of it. So let's just call it getRandomColor. And essentially making it as descriptive as possible so that I know what I'm doing. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to get the index. So let's go ahead and let's see here. Yeah, let's do this. For color value in pairs tiles.colors do. And we're going to insert the colors there, and that way we can actually kind of get the index, basically. And now we just need to get a random color. So that autocomplete actually worked perfectly. We actually got the correct index. So now that we got that, we can go ahead and call this from here essentially. So let's do local colors is equal to that, and then we're going to do color or for I is equal to 1. And we just need to go up to 2. So we're just going to do a 2 times for loop. So color is equal local color is equal to getRandomColor, and we're going to insert that to the table. But we're also going to go ahead and let's take a look at our tiles here. We actually already see that it's named after the string. So what we can do is just you can just do module. We're going to find first child tilers. And then we're going to wait for child, tile, and then we just concatenate our I with it, dot color, or brick color is equal to tile, we're going to do tiles dot colors, and then the index of that. Actually, no, that's right. This is what we want, because we're not indexing the actual thing here. We're indexing here, and we can go ahead and set our temporary answer. So let's go value is equal to 0, and we can go ahead and do value, and yep, and that worked perfectly. So we can actually do that, and then I actually kind of want to move this up here. And actually, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to call this answer. And then I'm going to do answer 1 is equal to tiles color, and then that should create each tile thing for here. So now we just got ourselves all we need for the initialize. So we can actually go ahead and verify this if we go ahead and move this over to here. So let's just close out the script. Let's move it over to our, that's not the right one, my bad. Let's move it over here, and then we should be able to launch it. This is where I can explain the entire like debugging thing. So it will automatically place the module here, so you can actually see that I've screwed up the pivot, so let's go ahead and fix that. So this should be rotated a whole 90 degrees. So our orientation is 180 right now. We need it to be that direction. That was my bad, that was our Tyler's thing. So this needs to be, our base part needs to be rotated. Actually, what is our primary part? I think it's this one. Yeah, it's definitely a primary part. This primary part needs to be rotated in 180, and that will allow it to actually be in the right spot. So you only really need to worry about your primary part, I think, unless I'm schizo. Yeah, that's right. So now we have our tiles, and we've actually noticed that we didn't really get anything out of it. So let's see here. So ignore this error. This is from the old game. We got an infinite yield possible on our wafer child tiles. So let's go ahead and discover why that is. So let's get out of here, and that's probably why I forgot to actually name the module. So that's one. So remember, if I said that it must be the same name as the module you're looking for, that's why. So let's go ahead and retry it. And now we can see we actually got double red. So the game shouldn't allow for two of the same, but I could be wrong. No, it can. It definitely can. So we got two red. Let's go ahead and retry it again just to take a look to make sure the randomness is working, because getting two red is kind of unlikely. So yeah, we got green and we got pink. I'll actually make sure that it can't generate two different colors, or two of the same colors. Every color we convert. Okay, so yeah, we're fine. Both are randomly colored. Yeah, we're fine. That was just a weird bit of luck. So let's go ahead and implement the check answer. So we're going to get an input here. So we're going to make sure our local inputs. Actually, we're going to do this. We're going to do input, or yeah, no, local new. Let's just sanitize input. And let's do it cap. Sanitized. If I can spell. Input is equal to input 1. We're actually going to put this in a 2 number. And we're actually going to gsub this. Gsub. Yeah. And we're going to do plus, or no, is it? Yeah, that's what I want. Basically what we're doing here is if there's any other part of the string in which exists, we only really want the number. So we are just going to make sure that if it's not a number, we're just going to remove it. So let's just go ahead and put this in here. So here's a great way to test. So let's just call local input is equal to 1, 2, 3 ABC space. Let's just call it that. And then we can actually take the input here, and then we're going to gsub that. And so we're going to do input equals input. We're actually going to wrap this around a 2 number. And what we should be getting out of it is an integer value of 1, 2, 3. So let's go ahead and print this out. Input, and I don't know if I have a console open. I don't. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what this does. This command window is fantastic for testing your things. And we noticed that, you know, I just accidentally forgot to put that thing. So let's take a look. and base is out of range. So let's go ahead and get rid of this two number. Make sure that that is fine as it is. So we're given 1, 2, 3 ABC, and then we also given that. So there's something wrong with this code. So maybe we try that. 1, 2, 3 ABC. All right, so that's not working. So I honestly forget how to do this. So we're gonna just worry about that later. So right now we're just gonna go ahead and we're just gonna keep the two number on the 1, and then that will do its thing. Actually, I think that actually might even solve my issues, but let's see. Let's go ahead and open up the console again, and let's just run it. We're getting a nil. Okay. If it's, we're just gonna have to rely that the person doesn't type in a string, because they really shouldn't anyway, because that's technically not even valid. So let's just go ahead and do that. So sanitize input. We're gonna go ahead in here, and we're just gonna call this 1. So that will allow us to compare that. So essentially, this means, hey, the answer we were given is correct. So we're going to mark this as solved. And then we do another check to see, okay, if it was solved, we actually complete the module. If else, we had a strike. And then we return solved. So that's only if you really need to call it for, well, I guess that's not really too much of an issue for anyone working on it. But there's probably someone who's going to be using some weird niche feature. So we'll leave it at that. So now it should be completable, but now we need to be able to allow for user input. So let's go ahead and do that now. So if we go ahead and go to our tiles, let's go ahead and work on here. So there's also a special method I want to, or special remote here that I want to make sure that is outlined properly, because it is kind of like a big thing. So click detectors cannot really be used on the local side very well, so you have to use a script. But the issue is text input is only done on the client side, so we need to be able to get that client information up to the server. So that's what we're going to do here. So let's go ahead and clear this code, and let's call local click detector, and then we're going to call that yeah, that works. Although I do want to do a better way to do that. That's just cleaner in my eyes. We're going to call this, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So we want to go ahead and now we're going to call our services. So let's go replicated storage. So we're going to get that service, which is right here, and we're going to look for our remote function. So local remotes is equal to that. So code autocomplete typically is pretty good at figuring out what you're trying to go to here. So let's go ahead and now go to functions is equal to remotes, wait for child, functions, and then we're going to just go local get text, and then that's how we're going to do it. We're going to create a local function here as well called local function get text function, and we're going to call the player, and we're just going to actually we're going to call the object, right? So object, we're going to get it as an instance value. I actually think I forgot to do any, okay, I didn't really need to do a typecast. And then we are going to need the player object. So we're going to call player. So this function, whenever it runs, it will grab the player object. So let's go ahead and typecast that as well. So that's, it's always a good idea to typecast. You don't have to, but it gives a better sense as the programmer to understand what object's coming in that. So that's kind of why I like to do it. So let's go ahead and close that out so we don't get this error. So let's go ahead and do this. We're going to need to go get text, invoke client. We're going to call the player because that's the invoke who's going to, and then we're going to give the object. I can't remember if I set it up as a .text. Okay, so we just cast the object, and that will be enough to get the text of that. So let's go ahead and go back to our script. So we need to define our object first. So let's go ahead and local user input is equal to, and we're just going to call this, first, I actually want to do this. Local module is equal to script dot parent dot parent. So what the dot parent is essentially is the script. The script keyword is essentially saying, hey, I'm right here. This is where you want to start at, and then we're going to go parent. So we're going to go one level up in the hierarchy, and we're doing another level up, which is our our model, and that's what we want. Since we will be casting that later on. So we're going to go ahead and get text invoke client. We're going to return this, actually, because that's part of our function. We're trying to get that text into this function. So, and then we're going to just go ahead and call this user input. We're going to go module, wait for child, user input, find first child, surface UI, wait for child, text box. And then that's essentially what it's going to do is we're going to go into this part, we're going to go into here, and we're going to grab the user input from here. But since it's since we're trying to get the user input off a server-side script, but we're trying to get it from a local player's input, we need to go ahead and grab that input from our get text function. So that's what we're doing right now. So we are going to go ahead and now we're going to get local inputs, and since we like, I just technically you don't really need to do this for the code to work as putting it in the table. You can totally do it as its own object. I just figured putting it as a table would be nicer for modules with multiple inputs. So that's kind of why I'm making it so that it has a table as the input for the answer. So we are only concerned about the current input, which is what the player is going to give us. So we're going to go ahead and get the get text function. Our object is user input, and our player is the player object we got calling that function. And then we are going to go ahead and call, I probably should actually, local events. Let's see. Actually, no, we don't need to call the events, that's right. Since we are on the server side, we don't actually call events to go to the server. We are already on the server, so we just need to do a lateral move. So in order for us to do that, we just need to go server script service. We're going to go ahead and go to our tiles module, right? So we're just going to check, since our tile module should just allow for us to pass the module instance, and it gets the answer from a completely different method that's called way before even the initialize module. We can just go ahead and call that. So here's how we're going to do it. We're just going to go back to our script here, and we're just going to keep going down our list. So let's call this modules is equal to server script storage wait for modules. Game specific. It's already filled in basically, but we want to make sure this is not the same name, so we're going to call this game modules. Kind of sucks having the same kind of name as a literal script in Roblox Studio, but it's fine. So now we got the tiles. We're going to go ahead and call tiles check solve module input, and that should allow for the module to work. So let's go ahead and test it. So first thing we're going to load in, and we're going to make sure we can actually test it. So we noticed it's right here, correct. Any issues? No, doesn't seem like it. So let's go ahead and review our manual to make sure it's right. So we got yellow and we got red, so that should be 3. So let's go type 3, and we got it right. So it says it was successfully reported and solved, but just in case, let's go ahead and test if it tests a wrong answer. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to call 1. It gives us an error. It shows in the console reported a strike. If we go back and we look at blue, it should be 14, and that reports true, and it gives it successfully solved. So that's how you know your module's working. But again, you probably want to look for edge cases whenever you make your own modules. It can be as simple as or as complicated as like. But But yeah, that's how you create your own module for Defusal. And once you're done, just go ahead and go to discussion right here, and you just create a new post saying, hey, my new module. You just do this, and then you type in your thing. You link your Roblox place with a suggestion, and then us devs will take a look at it. We'll review your code, and then if it looks good and we agree that it fits, we might do our own adjusting to it. But then it will get added to the game, and you'll be mentioned in the expert manual for that specific module, and you'll receive the contributor role for Defusal. So that's how it is. So yeah, thank you for watching. That was how to make your own module in Defusal, and if you have any questions, message the Discord, or honestly in the description. I'll try to take an answer. So yeah, have a good day, and happy coding.